The biggest economy in the EU is decaying. The German economy is plagued with several issues. China refuses to buy its goods. The energy crisis is killing its business. And above everything else, the country has a labor shortage. In the midst of the chaos, the government is trying to save the economy. Recent policy changes are unpredictable, but Germany needs a helping hand, desperately. In this video, we're looking at how Germany is addressing the major economic crisis. Let's get started. In the pre-pandemic world, Germany and China were a force to be reckoned with. The largest economy in the European Union had found a robust trading partner in Asia. But then, of course, it got hit by the biggest risk in any export-heavy dynamic: over-reliance. When the pandemic restrictions were lifted, Berlin hoped to resume its usual business in China. Yet Chinese markets have changed drastically. The demand for furnished German products dropped. Certain Chinese manufacturers had taken over the gap by producing goods themselves. Not to mention, Beijing's economic recovery has been very sluggish. It's hard to pinpoint one reason for the economic crisis in China, but high rates of inflation and low wages are at the forefront of it. The purchasing power of an average citizen has decreased, but the Chinese issue is only one side of the coin that's bugging the German economy. The other side is, of course, the war in Ukraine. Russian aggression has resulted in major policy shifts in the EU. The most controversial decision was to cut off gas and oil agreements with Moscow. Germany had to take this hard decision at the expense of an explosive energy crisis. The country went on a gas-buying spree, and the alternative to cheap Russian gas was the US, Norway, and France. As of now, the country is going through a structural energy inflation. So where do these important issues leave Germany then? Well, there are two important things to consider here. Firstly, German exporters and manufacturers are losing business rapidly. Secondly, Germany's trade balance with China is negative. While China isn't interested in buying German exports, the opposite isn't true. For Germany's green energy transition, it needs Chinese imports like solar panels. But this doesn't mean the German government hasn't made major policy interventions. One of these interventions is called the Strategy on China. So let's break this down, shall we? In the past, geopolitical tensions have taken the best of Germany's economy. So the government wants businesses to consider geopolitics while making important decisions. The Scholz Administration is calling this policy de-risking, and it's been a long time coming now. The war in Ukraine is one factor, but China's pro-Russia stance in this matter has limited German businesses too. The idea here is simple. Germany needs a clean path to foreign direct investment. Supporting a pro-Russian Xi Jinping is not going to help their cause at all. The second thing that Germany is doing is diversification. There's no denying that China is losing business. More and more manufacturers are shifting their focus to Southeast Asia. Germany is jumping on this bandwagon too. It wants to create businesses and military ties with the Indo-Pacific region. When it comes to manufacturing, many countries in this region offer cheap labor. While their manufacturing sectors are new, their geographical positioning is diverse. It all comes down to not putting your eggs in one basket. German businesses are already footing high production costs in the country. Hefty energy bills are one of the biggest concerns. Outsourcing production or shifting overseas are their viable options. In the meantime, Germany is building up its own LNG import infrastructure. This policy will allow Berlin to find cheaper avenues of gas. The parliament has also passed bills to restart the coal and nuclear power plants to fill the energy gap. But these ventures need time to start. In this case, new export markets and manufacturing sectors will help German manufacturers. At the same time, the German government is looking for a systematic rival with China too. According to a news report, Berlin says it wants to ensure its economic relationship with Beijing becomes fairer, more sustainable, and more reciprocal. Germany is also looking to adjust export control lists to safeguard new key technologies. And well, this works for many reasons. China mostly derives its innovation through exports or copying other Western companies. If their manufacturing sector doesn't have new technologies, they lose business to other markets. Taiwan and Vietnam are two good examples of this phenomenon. Perhaps it's not the best strategy to force China into reviving the good old times, But Berlin is doing what it needs to boost economic growth. After all, its domestic housing sector is frail. So, are you finding this video easy to follow? If so, give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. You see, for years, Germany has profited off its housing sector. But now the country is grappling with two opposite problems. The housing shortage in Germany is getting acute. Builders don't see any profitability in building apartment complexes. The war in Ukraine has also forced them to import expensive construction materials. The second problem is then quite predictable. The price of buying a house is no longer affordable in Germany. At the back of this problem, the issue is the high interest rate. It was easier to buy a house in Germany because of the European Central Bank's monetary policies. Since the interest rates were low, the cost of borrowing money was affordable. You simply take out a loan and, well, you'd buy a house. But the ECB was forced to increase the interest rate to combat inflation. And now, people aren't taking out loans. Builders are forced to abandon their projects. In fact, many construction businesses opted for insolvency. This has caused a housing shortage in Germany. When Olaf Scholz took power in 2021, he'd promised to build 400,000 housing complexes a year. This is a long way off, though. In 2023, the sector struggled to build 250,000 homes. In 2024, it's expected to build 200,000 or less. So, of course, the immediate solution is a government intervention. In September 2023, the government announced its strategy to revive the housing sector. The Scholz Administration is spending 45 billion euros to make housing more affordable. First and foremost, it's relaxed the construction regulations to let go of its insulation requirements. Builders had complained that insulation standards are very expensive to meet. For years, construction businesses have demanded a more relaxed insulation policy. The new EU bill will also require building upgrades, like efficient heating systems. This is why Germany is going to oppose the bill to help its housing sector. Other than that, the government is putting hefty money into the sector too. As of now, Germans are desperate for affordable housing that suits students and immigrant workers. In the next 2 years, the government will spend 450 million euros on converting abandoned offices into homes. This particular policy will make home ownership less expensive and quick. You see, Germany needs to offer immigrant workers affordable housing. In the absence of that, the German economy will falter again. It's quite simple. Immigrant workers won't opt for German jobs if they can't afford a roof over their heads. This will be devastating for one important reason. Germany is facing an acute labor shortage. Many businesses in the country don't have the right means to run their operations. They're not just affected by the energy costs. They just simply don't have the workers to keep up their operations. Each year, Germany needs 400,000 immigrant workers to fill important vacancies. Now, the German parliament has had a family-friendly immigration policy. But with new changes to the Skilled Immigration Act, it's shifting its gears. Back in June 2023, the country passed a very progressive immigration bill. According to the legislation, Germany will assess each immigration case on 3 metrics: skilled labor, experience, and potential. Previously, Germany was more restrictive about its immigration criteria. It would look at human rights conditions and the economic situation of the country of origin. While these metrics still exist, Germany wants younger individuals with professional experience. Increasing immigration helps the German labor market, but it's also looking for more long-term solutions. Digitalization is one of them. Germany's aging population has restricted the workforce, so digitalizing most services will require less human labor. But this is an expensive measure that will also take some time. Meanwhile, Scholz is relying on heavy immigration to help the businesses. Many economists have described Germany's labor shortage as a time bomb. Reports suggest that the country will lack 7 million workers by 2035, and the most vulnerable sector will be the automobile industry. Germany's economy is dependent on car manufacturers to yield exports, and they can't do that if they don't have a steady supply. Economists are hoping that Germany's immigration reform will mitigate the crisis. All in all, the Scholz administration is making major policy changes to save the German economy. Yet the war in Ukraine rages on, and its energy crisis still persists. Moving forward, Germany's economic growth is uncertain, but economists feel positive about the new policy changes. Did you find this video useful? Give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to watch our other videos.